And then that one. Hello! Welcome back in, everybody. Welcome, viewers. Welcome, new guests. We are on our last panel of the night, and it's been fantastic so far. We've already raised £1,500 for the Mermaids. If you don't know what the Mermaids are, they are a UK-based charity which supports transgender and gender non-conforming youth and their families. So they are there for anyone that needs them if they need help, if they need resources, if they need somebody to talk to and information, they will be there. So it's absolutely incredible. And thank you, everyone, for your generosity. If you don't know me, hello. My name is Paige, or Arthurimus, whichever you prefer. The name is a mixture of arthritis, which I have, and Greek mythology, which I love. And we do a lot of horror and things. But today we are here to talk about what it means to be an LGBTQIA plus person, lived experience, and just who we are and why that is important and why we need to have spaces like this. And we are joined by an incredible roster of people today. Again, all new people, which is so exciting because so many new friends and it's wonderful. And we may have one person join us shortly. So Osric, my darling, if you do see pugs come into the stream channel, feel free to just yeet them in and we will go from there. I will just say immediately, one of the comments is just saying, oh my god, everyone has amazing eyebrows, so that's good.
I mean, these are tinted on, but thanks.
Don't worry.
I don't have eyebrows.
No, I know the feeling. But right, let's get started. So, Nikki, welcome in. I know.
I didn't know I was going to be first.
Nope, nobody ever knows until I just start.
Hi, I'm Nikki. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a trans woman. I live in London, although not originally from this area of England. Tell a little bit about what I do?
Yep, tell us a little bit about you, who you are, and why you wanted to be on here today.
Sure. So why did I want to be on here today? So I do a lot of public speaking engagement, most of which are kind of fee-paying for me. However, I'm very much happy to do a lot of kind of for charity. I volunteered for over 8 years, mostly on LGBT plus related. Well, I see someone is going to be joining us. I also have previously worked in transgender health, so the trans clinic for young people and adolescents here in England, which is a national service called GID. So I'm used to kind of, working in trans health for youth. I've volunteered for Gendered Intelligence, which is very similar to Mermaid, another charity. And I was working on a kind of trans documentary before the pandemic hit. But then obviously shit hit the fan, everyone's lives changed.
Yep.
Haven't been out for a year, but who cares? And now I'm working for a charity called ELOP, which is an LGBT plus charity, providing mental health services by LGBT plus people. So I'm with my peers. I'm trying to help where I can. And so I do kind of assessments for counselling and health and wellbeing plans and stuff like this for people who are finding it difficult. That's a little bit about me.
Brilliant, thank you. And I will say one thing before I get on to the next question for you, Nikki. It's just, I want to thank everyone who's been on today and who's currently here for the gift of their time, because I can't afford to pay people at the minute to come and guest. And I would love to pay people for coming and spending their time, because you don't get that back. So to come and share your time and your experiences with us is a massive gift. And so thank you for all being here. It's absolutely fantastic.
It's a charity.
Exactly, as well, but...
And we need to support the services provided to our trans youth.
Very much so, which is why we're doing what we're doing today. And again, if you do want to donate, !donate will take you straight to the link there as well. And you can also type in !mermaids if you want to learn a little bit more about them first. But, Nikki, can you tell us 3 fun facts about you? And we will figure out what's going on with pugs in a moment.
3 fun facts. Oh, yeah.
Don't worry, it stumped everybody.
Can...
Yes, oh, believe me, fuck yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know whether it's fun, but it's definitely vain. So I'm the only person that I know that has a picture of myself on my bedroom wall.
Cool.
I mean,
I
I've
was the
got
first.
pictures on my wardrobe.
Oh,
Oh, we're twinning. Good.
Ian, but is it just you?
It's me and my mates, but you know, I'm in all of them.
Well, this was a campaign with Heathrow Airport, called their welcome campaign, and I was their first kind of trans face visibility. So they have a lot of they have a variety of people, you know, from like plumbers to like old age pensioners, like job specific or person specific, sexuality specific, etc. This was their kind of first LGBT campaign, and I represented the T in their campaign. So that was fun to do.
Mm,
And
that's pretty
yeah,
cool.
I enjoyed it. Another fun fact. I think I'm really boring. I don't know whether it, like anyone else feel like that. Like
Almost everybody that I've asked the question to has said that, but then we've always come out with like, oh yeah, I'm a filmmaker, and it's like, you what? So
yeah, no, not that exciting, unfortunately. Weirdly enough, I did have a bit of a change of career because I was a makeup artist. Then certain incidents happened that I might discuss later. And yeah, I didn't feel like I really wanted to work in that industry any longer. And then I went back to university and I studied psychology. And now I'm using more of my kind of my brain and my intellect, which a lot of people, when they look at me and being trans, they just think I'm, you know, this pretty face in quotes. But yeah, so that's my only one fun fact. I apologize.
that's absolutely fine. I'm pretty sure we'll learn more as we go. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. And where can people find you if they want to learn a little bit more about who you are and what kind of things that you do?
Sure. So I'm available on most social medias, although I'm quite new to wherever this is streaming from, Twitch and Discord,
yeah.
and all of these. But my Twitch handle.
Yep. You got
Look
it.
at me, I'm learning. Nikki Hayden, spelled KII, all popular social media platforms. And I have a website that I've been kind of under construction, but you can see a lot of my filmed projects on there. It's the British Film Institute, I think my Heathrow kind of behind the scenes campaigns there, and a lot of things that I've hosted. That is, with me, Nikki Hayden, IKKIHAYDEN @.com. Sorry. It could have been email. Yeah, so nikkihayden.com. You can see all my projects on there. But it's really annoying. Like, I wish I'd come up with a really fantastical kind of username on social media prior, before knowing that there was a MotoGP racer called Nikki Hayden.
Right.
Google always tries to like rectify. Like, do you mean this person? I'm like, no, he did not look like me.
Are you saying you Google yourself often?
I do.
I mean, you got sometimes. You've got to sometimes.
Vain. I've got a picture of.
Perfect. That is a perfect intro. Thank you very much. And I do like the picture. It is a power move. It is an absolute power move, so I'm liking that. Alrighty, let's... Oh my god, I'm pressing all the wrong buttons now. Hold on. So let's go over to our next guest, Natalie. Hello, darling. Welcome in. So, would you mind... Well, I've just said your name, but you know what I mean. Telling us your name, your pronouns, and just a little bit about you.
So, as you know, my name is Natalie. My pronouns are she, her. So, for me, I'm currently a student at Cal State San Bernardino. I transferred last semester, also known as CSUSB. And I'm majoring in English creative writing and minoring in gender and sexuality studies. Really excited about that. So while there, I helped co-found the Pride Club that's there. It's called the Pride Pack. I'm the vice president there, and our goal for that club is just, this safe space for fellow LGBTQIA plus students to have this safe space, talk about issues pertaining to the community, and just talking about their lived experiences, and just having that space full of people just like them. And for me, I just wanted to take part in this discussion because I like writing, like creative writing major. So yeah, you could probably tell. I've recently discovered a love for writing poetry, and I like trying to use my experiences to use that in my writing.
Mm-hmm.
And I also just really love the goal for this stream to raise money for Mermaid's Gender.
Awesome, thank you very much, and we're honoured to have you today. I was so excited when I got a few people reach out to me, and I was like, not everyone's a streamer. My God, we've gone across the pond and we've met new people, and my goodness, now I have to teach everyone how a platform works. Shit, so, it's all right. I have to do that a lot. So.
Yeah, this is my first time doing something like this.
Heck yeah, awesome! You couldn't tell. So that is excellent. Oh. So. Wait, my brain completely died there. Hold on. There we are. Cool. Could you tell us a few fun facts about yourself apart from your new love of poetry?
Yeah, because I have anxiety, I kind of like wrote things down beforehand, so I have some kind of outline for what I'm going to say, so I don't stutter as much.
Cool.
But yeah, 3 fun facts about me. I have 3 dogs. My older sister and I inherited a permanent baby tooth from our father, which is probably the most interesting thing about me. And my favorite show is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Cool. That's actually one I keep meaning to watch, so I'll get there one day. And if people wanted to stay in touch with you, is there a good way to do that?
Yeah, so I'm under Twitch and Twitter under @BaddieMcJules.
Mm-hmm.
And Instagram under rainbow_nerd_1999.
Cool. Brilliant. Thank you very much. I just realised that I typed one of the things incorrect, so I'm just fixing that quickly before we carry on, because I'm a very smart human. There we go. Right, we will get that all fixed in a moment. But thank you very much. Our next guest, who looks fabulous, and I'm not going to say why, because you'll all figure it out shortly. Bendy Dinosaurs, hello.
Hello.
Hello, welcome in.
Hi.
So,
thank you.
Could you tell us your name, your pronouns, and just a little bit about you?
Yes, I am Samantha, aka Bendy Dinosaurs, on Twitch and Twitter. My pronouns are she, her. I am queer, sapphic. Yes.
Perfect.
My brain just went stop right there, and it's like no, don't stop there. Yeah, I am a dungeon master in the world of D&D. I do Twitch streaming, varieties. Basically, I'm mainly doing D&D right now, and I'll be starting up Kingdom Hearts streams next week. I work on the executive staff of HBCU Con. For those who don't know, HBCUs are historically Black colleges and universities. Excuse me. So we're putting together a con to really shine a light on marginalized cosplayers and creatives within HBCUs and in the Black community in general. I haven't started the project yet, but I'm working on a project that's specifically geared around Black queer nerds and their love for tabletop roleplay gaming.
Awesome.
We have the name. We know it's going to be Obsidian Brews. So we're just kind of working that out and figuring out if we want to start a physical space or if we want it to be kind of like internet based and bring it to different cons and things in the future. So that's what I do.
That is very cool. Very good. The chat's already going nuts, just like, oh my God. So that's good. That's good. And so why did you want to be part of today's discussion? Again, not just because I messaged everyone.
Oh, it's so wonderful to have these spaces on the internet to fill our cups, essentially, to help fill other people's cups and fill our own with joy and knowledge and the things that come from having these different types of conversations. And because it's such a broad amount of people, I mean, this is all over the world that people are involved in this conversation. So it was just beautiful to be able to be blessed with an opportunity to join in. But also I work specifically with US-based, mainly Black and brown trans identifying like organizations. but to be able to branch out and to help on a broader scale with this, I thought that was really important. And I'm happy to lend my voice and help move it along. So
Awesome. That's so cool. And there's so many people from like all over the world, and I'm just like, I'm sat in like this really like this small city in England, and it's just like, my God, the internet is cool. So
yeah.
I will just say quickly, your video has frozen, just so you know, but it's frozen in a very flattering way, so that's pretty good.
It'll come back and it won't be flattering. It doesn't. Am I back?
There you go, sorted. Not a problem.
Yay. Yeah, I mean, I live just outside DC, so there's a lot of, efforts for the Black trans community here. So to be able to broaden that and work on a higher scale is really great.
Awesome. And can you tell us a few fun facts about you?
Yeah, I am a former. Words are hard today. I have a chronic illness as well, and sometimes my tongue will swell up, so it'll be difficult for me to get words out. And then at the same time, the hamster wheel in my brain just keeps going, so I end up like a step behind. Mm-hmm. So forgive me, but I'm still here. Yeah, I am a former professional ghost hunter. I worked with the folks that were on Paranormal State. If anyone watched that on A&E, I am a former professional pirate at the Renaissance Fair, but now, I worked at like a full-scale pirate ship and everything, and it was a lot of fun. Everyone in the kind of Ren Fair community knows me as Agony Ann, and I worked pretty broad. Like I've been all the way out to California and down south and such. And when the pandemic's over, I'm going to go back to doing merch wench sales. So I'm a wench that sells merch for an Irish band. So I do that as well. And other fun fact is I am first generation American on my mother's side. My mother is Jamaican, and I'm super just in awe of how great she is and our family and the progress and the steps that they took to make a better life for my generation and all of my insane amount of crazy kooky cousins. So, and just the successes of us is great. So it's just, I'm very, very proud to be, the daughter of an immigrant. So it's nice.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm just like, holy shit, how much cool stuff are you doing? Like, damn. And where can people find you online if they want to keep up?
Yes, on Twitter and Twitch, I am Bendy Dinosaurs. And I also cosplay. So my Instagram is Belladonna Cosplay. So it's cosplay without the vowels. So it's CLSPY.
Cool.
CSLPY, whatever. Yeah. Cosplay without the O and the A.
There we go. I've written it down just so we get there. So
perfect. Thank you. I was like, how do letters work again?
Oh, believe me, I have no idea. Sorry.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. So that's where I'm at on the interwebs. And specifically, you'll find me with HBCU Con. We're doing a virtual con April 17th through the 24th, and it's going to be bananas. I love it. So
that sounds excellent. That sounds really cool, actually. So I'm going to have to check that out. Thank you very much. All right, we have a few more people, and I'm going to try and figure out. Pugs is unfortunately having fair issues where it says they're connected, but they are nowhere to be found. So we're going to try and figure that out in a minute. But let us introduce our next guest, Lost Star Cadet. Hello. It was going to get to you eventually.
Hi.
Hello. How are you doing, darling?
My brain is not working now. I'm so sorry.
Don't you worry. Believe me, there is almost every single person here has got some sort of brain fog or memory issue. So all of us at one point have gone, I have no idea where I am. So take a moment as long as you need.
Hello. My name's Casey, or I usually go by Lost sometimes, just because my username. I use they, them pronouns.
Perfect. Don't you worry. So can you tell us a little bit about you?
I stream here on Twitch. I'm very bad at explaining things if that isn't obvious already. I am very sorry.
Take your time.
I apologize a lot as well.
You're in a safe, supportive space. Take all the time you need. Don't you worry. We're all happy to wait.
Thank you. There's not really much I can really say about me. besides, I am currently in college for graphic design.
Cool.
About to graduate. That's also fun. So that's why I'm a bit like all over the place right now, because I'm getting everything ready for all that stuff.
Lot of work to do, I can imagine.
Yeah. That's basically all my personality is right now.
Hey, then that is enough. That's all it needs to be. But, so, why did you want to take part in today's discussion?
I really thought it would be cool to like talk to other people who are also a part of the LGBTQ plus. I know I always say the acronym wrong, and I do apologize for that.
It's all good.
If it isn't obvious, I'm Canadian because I apologize all the time. But yeah, that's basically the reason why I wanted to participate today. Just to be able to communicate with others. I've actually been watching the stream all day. Sadly, I missed the first one because sleep.
Yep,
Yeah,
that'll
that was the
happen.
thing.
Don't worry, I nearly missed it for the same reason, so it's fine.
Very sad. Very sad. But yeah, that's basically all there is about me.
Alrighty. Do you have any fun facts you'd like to share, or do you want to just let people know where they can find you if they'd like to keep in touch?
The only fun fact, I'm currently in a closet, like physically in a closet.
Oh, okay. Well, it's got good lighting, so that's good.
This is also like one of the only times that you will see my camera on, so
Fantastic.
I never stream with my camera on except for that one awkward time where it went off right away.
Wow.
And yeah, I have a pet rat.
I love rallies. What's Rat's name?
His name is Sven.
And is he a fancy rat?
Yes, he is a fancy rat.
Yeah,
I think. I don't know. I actually got him from like a breeder, so I don't fully know.
Probably a fancy rat then. Usually that'll be the kind you get from breeders, so yes.
I would show him, but I believe he's sleeping and I don't want to disturb him.
Well, absolutely correct. Absolutely. My fun fact, my mum actually had 36 at one point when I was growing up, so that's a lot of ratties. Yeah, we had a converted closet that was essentially a walk-in rat jungle.
Wow.
That was a lot of rats.
I wish.
Yep.
I want to get more.
Yep. My mum is rat mad, so there we are. But I guess that comes with being a Wiccan. Sorry. But thank you so much. All right, and then Ryan, hello.
Hi, I don't know how I'm meant to follow having 36 rats, but we move.
That's fine. 46 maybe.
Oh God. I'm Brian. I am 17, so I'm a child. I'm a theus, and I'm a musical theatre student. So I'm in my second year of college. So like, I'm going to uni in September.
Cool.
Don't know if that makes sense if you're not in the UK, but we move. And yeah, I'm obsessed with musicals.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Pretty much my one character trait is being obsessed with musicals.
Fair enough. So, I mean, you pretty much told us a little bit about you, but why did you want to be part of today's discussion?
I just thought it'd be interesting to come in as a younger person, because you get, from what I've seen, it's very much older people talking about their experiences, and I want to be a voice for my generation, the Gen Zers, you know. I'm very cringy, I do apologise.
It's fine by me.
But yeah, I just wanted to be a voice for the young uns and kind of share experiences I've had, because while I didn't grow up in the LGBT dark ages, I did grow up in a time where it wasn't as like talked about it as it is now. So it's like, it wasn't the 80s or anything, like it wasn't that, but it was still the early like 2000s and 2010s, which was still very intense.
I mean, in the UK,
particularly in my high school anyway.
Yeah, in the UK until I think it was 2003, it was banned to actually discuss.
Yeah,
the LGBT.
I think Article 28 was abolished in like 04 or something.
Yeah.
Good old Maggie Thatcher.
Yay. But as such, it's been different for every generation. So that's why I was so excited when I did actually hear from some people, and I was just like, oh, there's so many more people to actually speak to now, and so many other like groups to be represented, that it's absolutely fantastic, and it's wonderful to have people of different ages here. So can you tell us 3 fun facts about you?
Yes, before I do that, I just realised I didn't say my pronouns. I use they, them pronouns.
Gotcha.
3 interesting facts about myself. I once met Libby Spence.
Cool.
Pineapple Dance Studios. My landlady is in Nanny McPhee. You know, the woman at the start of the film who comes in like, they've eaten the baby.
Oh my God.
Owns my house. She owns my house, which is pretty cool. And bit of musical theatre geeking out. Jameel Westman, the original Alexander Hamilton of the West End original cast, liked my tweet.
Pretty good. I had a little claim to fame with that a little while ago when I saw the end of 2019. I saw Rocky Horror Picture Show live in Edinburgh, and then Rocky liked my tweets and sent me messages, so that was pretty cool.
Come From Away is amazing on Twitter because they reply to all your tweets and like them. It's brilliant.
Oh, my goodness. I've never seen a man wear high heels so well. It's incredible. Right. I am going to just, unfortunately, be very awkward for a moment, see if we can get Pugs in at all, but it looks like they are still currently offline and things are being very weird. So I will just keep an eye on the situation for now and see what we can do as we go. But is everybody good and happy to go into some of the questions we've got? Looks like a consensus, yes, excellent. So what I've been finding is we've normally only got room for 2 questions, so I'm going to have a quick look at the ones that we've got and go from there. And in fact, I think one of them that is definitely pertinent here is, and we're going to go from sort of left to right, so we will start with Bendy, just so you know, so you can prepare. Do you feel that there is enough education and positive representation around the LGBTQIA+ available to children and young adults? And if not, what would you recommend, or do you have any suggestions for people trying to find better representation?
I think from an American standpoint, there are a significant amount of resources out there, but I think there's a difficulty with getting it to kids and young folks at this point, because, again, from an American standpoint, we're still a little, for lack of a better term, backwards. So we have things like educational content. The first thing that comes to mind is that a lot of libraries are starting to have reading hours with drag queens and talking with kids about gender and who they are and who they want to be and the decisions that, you know, they can make in expressing themselves. But then you get like 20 moms and dads and other folks who are just like, we can't do that, so it gets shut down. So there's cutoff points to those access networks, and there's a lack of motivation that's being put in that field. I feel that if there were maybe better ways, not so much fun, but ways that we can, you know, market to the masses of America in a way that can entice them, I think that would give kids those resources and that access and help people have a better understanding of it all around.
Awesome. Yep, that definitely makes sense. And I did notice one of the comments was like, I like the face that English people do when somebody's like, from an American standpoint, and it was like, it's mostly because it's like, okay, let's reframe myself because I realised that this isn't necessarily going to be my experience, so I'm not going to be able to go, and I have an anecdote. So yeah, it's an acceptance thing, don't you worry. We're not going,
yeah,
Americans.
No, it's honestly, it is okay. I do that to Americans. I am a Black queer woman in America. Okay, every day of my life is just like, so it's a problem. It's a problem because it's like I'm around people who are like on fire for being like, let's show this. And I have friends that have children that are actively doing that on their own. But again, like from a Black standpoint, there's systemic racism and then there's systemic aversion to the other in terms of people who are not heteronormative and heterosexual, and those that are in charge who are dictating that. So we're backwards in that. So,
Definitely more work to be
hard.
done. Yeah.
Yes. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So, Lost, how about you? Or would you like us to come back to you in a moment?
Would you be able to rephrase the question a bit? I'm very sorry.
Don't you worry at all. Not a problem. So, in terms of education and representation for younger people about LGBTQIA plus people, do you think there is enough available? Like, are there good role models out there that people can easily get to?
For education, definitely not. I'll be completely honest. I didn't know what anything was up until I was like around 14, to be honest, when I went to high school. And it's really frustrating because like I knew I was not the gender I was assigned, but I didn't know any other type of thing, if that makes sense. I don't know. So I wish that there would be more, because even today, like, I don't think that there's enough. Like, I mean, like, yeah, there's like not enough information being shown, and like, it's this whole topic, I get really frustrated with it because like,
yeah,
I know like a lot of my friends also struggled with this. We weren't taught anything, and like we sort of had to find out on our own through the internet. I think like the only reason why I actually found out was because I would talk to a lot of older like high school students who knew like what different sexualities were, knew that you didn't have to be either male or female in a sense.
Absolutely.
That's basically like my stance on that. Like, there's not enough, and I wish that there was more, especially for younger kids who might be questioning and confused. They're not confused. That's a word I do not like to use.
Yep, fair enough.
I can't think of a word. Just like not. They want to figure out their identity and stuff. Like, I feel like that is like they need to have that.
Yeah, they need some.
Younger.
They need to have something to start their journey with. They need to know there is a journey they can have. I very much agree with that, because if you don't know something exists, that's pretty much it. It doesn't to you until the point you find out it does. So it's a very good point to have. People need to know there are other things than what they already know about.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, very good point. Very good point. All right, okay, Natalie, how about you?
Yeah, I agree a lot with what you both said. I also didn't really learn about like the community until I was about 13. And for me, and I forgot to mention this in my intro, but I identify as a lesbian.
Cool.
And like in terms of representation, it wasn't until I was about like 14 the first time I saw some kind of representation, and that was from the Legend of Korra finale, which I remember it meant a lot to me when I saw it. But I also know that they had to like. This is another point where there are a lot of shows and there's a backlash. They have to just discreetly imply something rather than being able to be outright with it. And, that's just a problem because of how people tend to sexualize like sexual orientation and also gender. And it's something that needs to be talked about because like I remember for me, like when I was in middle school, like becoming a preteen and everything, like the concept of like having a crush on somebody, I thought that I had to have a crush on some of my male classmates, but I didn't. I had no feelings for anybody. And I thought that I was weird for that because so many shows that I watched aim for my generation, my age group, like how like, oh, having a crush, that's just part of life. And yeah, it is, but not everybody feels that way. And it wasn't until I was in high school where I like started noticing like my female classmates, and I was like, ooh, pretty. And like, and also just like, I'm noticing you. And another thing with representation is just needing to start, like, it's getting better in the more recent days, but it's still not as good as it could be. We just need to start letting content creators from the community being able to tell their stories and have a priority for them telling their stories over straight creators who want to tell the stories for us.
Yeah, it's a very good point, because we've discussed it a little bit in previous panels, but like, you, to be a good ally, you do also need to make space for people to tell their stories and to be themselves. You can't just be like, well, I heard about this person, this is how they felt. It's like, you don't know that. You can't 100% say. So representation has to actually come from the people being represented, I think. You know, it's not saying that, you know, an actor couldn't act a role, but that role should be offered to somebody that can properly represent it first, and there should be proper, you know, consideration going into how this kind of thing works. You know, who is represented and how are they represented, and do people actually get to see that, and do they see themselves in, you know, the media they're consuming and things like that. You know, it's a good point. And like, when you were like, oh, I noticed them, and you know, when I was younger I didn't notice anyone, and it just made me remember, like, you'll have a like a toddler, like a 2-year-old, you know, a male toddler, a boy toddler, and they'll be like, he's got a girlfriend. It's like, no, he's 2. Like, no, we don't. This child does not have a relationship. This child is 2, and that's just another child. I can't tell them apart. They are just children. So, it's definitely
It's just really normalized. Like, a heterosexual relationship is just so heavily normalized from such a young age.
Yeah.
And the same with the gender roles.
Very
and it's
much.
really weird. Like, why are you pushing romance on this little child that can't even speak yet?
Yeah, exactly. So, Nikki, what about you?
Sorry about that. I was sharing away. Could you ask the question again?
Absolutely can. Don't you worry at all. So,
Nations in. This is this is important. The mermaids.
yep. So, do you feel that there is enough education and positive representation of LGBTQIA plus people and communities available to children and young adults?
Absolutely not. But I'm only going to speak about really UK based.
Yep.
This internationally it gets complicated because obviously there are countries where being trans is illegal and punishable by death, and I don't think it's appropriate to really talk internationally if I don't use the really good in terms of the most positive, and then the least. In the UK, obviously we had what someone mentioned, Section 28, the discussion of LGBTQIA plus identities in schools, and that was similar. I view it very similar to what's happening in Russia, actually, in terms of propaganda against, like, being aimed at children, which is not propaganda. It's just our lives, as LGBT plus people. Like, there's no propaganda. We can't turn people. I can't turn anyone trans, and why would I? So a bit weird. But yeah, enough. But I'm hopeful for this upcoming change to the curriculum in the UK, which is kind of like PSHE. I've never known what that stands for, but you might know.
Couldn't tell you.
Hold on.
Couldn't tell you.
Who knows? But you learn basically about, like, employment law and stuff. So apparently they're kind of expanding it to include kind of LGBT plus content, and also content about consent, which I think is very important, and relationships and sexuality, and talking about, like, families come in all forms. And there've been a few schools, obviously, that have been in the news where groups have really pushed against this kind of curriculum to teach kind of inclusive relationships and family values at kind of an age-appropriate content, especially by religious groups who have kind of worked together to protest against schools. which is only possible because it's not currently part of our curriculum. So I'm really hopeful for when that does become involved, when that does get incorporated, that children will kind of learn more about kind of inclusive relationships, families, and it's not just kind of LGBTQIA plus things. It's inclusivity of all people of different religions and stuff like that. I think it's super important because unfortunately most parents teach their children one another and to accept one another. As we probably can all attest to, being part of a community, we could probably all say that we've had an issue maybe as a child or growing up with other children kind of not aware of what they're doing. And hate is taught.
Yeah.
Teach love. And if you start early, children will be more accepting to other kind of points of view, other opinions, other lifestyles, other preferences, whatever that may be. In terms of representation, I mean, there's always a lot that needs to happen. Think about entertainment, for example. Like we've achieved the rights that we've achieved through entertainment initially. That's where people will learn about our lives. That hasn't necessarily been the best kind of representation though. But it was that tiny little toe in the door that grew to a foot basically. So yeah, I don't want to see at the minute I don't want to see at the minute cis people playing trans roles. I don't see that. I don't want to see that representation. I don't want to see another cis man playing a trans woman. I don't care part of that journey in the film they are representing, because that's usually the excuse. Oh well, we needed to show them how they were prior to transgender. Like, well, you're able to kind of this act able to represent a trans woman, so why can't a trans woman represent a cisgender man? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like prior to transition. So there's a lot of things that need to happen. Within the UK, we do have a few like long-running soaps on national television that have a few trans characters played by trans actors, which is amazing. We need that. We're not seeing much intersectionality, seeing like the white, able-bodied trans kind of who kind of follow that binary, which obviously I do. I am in that kind of being trans, but I think it's super important to show other people as well to be authentic, So there needs to be decisions made by like those in power, those who are commissioning programs, and those commissioning programs to kind of put faith in actors, no matter what their sexuality or gender is, that they're able to do a role. And Pose, for example, has proven that a show can be extremely successful in not only kind of popularity, but also true, authentic representation of trans lives. And there was a UK show recently, I've not watched it yet, about the AIDS epidemic in the 80s by Russell
T Davis.
Thank you very much. I've not watched it, but I've heard it's amazing.
Heartbreaking.
I've heard it's amazing representation. I've seen little clips, little segments, and I was like, oh, I don't know whether I have the emotional ability to watch this right now.
It's something else.
But yeah, that's what needs to happen.
It twice.
Did you like the punishment? The emotional turmoil?
Fun.
So good. But also for myself, in terms of what I do, is in different ways as being trans, meaning online. I'll talk to parents of trans children. I'm in a trans UK parents group called Acceptance UK. And also I want to kind of role model, but I want to show there's different trans people exist, you know, like working in psychology, we exist as well, you know, working in management and leadership and retail. And there's a narrative around trans people's professions, especially trans women, without any of the discussion, without any of the discourse as to why that might be the case, in terms of, you know, lack of education or being bullied in education, and parental support, and, you know, the feeling of urgency to transition and that costing money because it's not available on chest. And, you know, a lot of people now a lot of trans people in America who do, you know, medically transition, there are some insurances that now kind of accept trans people, which is amazing. And I feel a little bit jealous that I'm not based in the US, because private insurers here in the UK don't accept as an option. So I also try and be I try and represent myself being trans, not trans people. You know, I'm not going to speak on behalf of other people. I can only talk about my own experiences. That was a really long-winded answer to the question. I apologize.
No, it was a good answer, and it comes from a place of knowledge. So it's very... My brain died. Come on, brain, get back in here. It's a very valid, you know, answer, and very, very good to hear from somebody that actually does know. Because a lot of us can sit and go, well, when I was a kid, and it's like, no, I wanted to hear about what it's like now. So it's really good to have that answer. And I will say, we mentioned it earlier, but the Through Our Eyes stream also has a podcast as a sister. So every 2 weeks we do a podcast, and recently we did a podcast with a trans woman, Dr. K. Ross. She is fucking incredible, but she has medically transitioned, and she's in the UK, and it cost her £40,000 because she has still not had her GIC like initial consultation, and that was going on for at least 4 years. So yeah, if anyone's actually interested in learning a little bit more about that, we can put the episode in the chat, just from, you know, what she's gone through.
And so, having worked in a gender clinic, and having gone through the experience and working in trans health, if anyone has any questions about that, I'm happy to be of service.
Yeah, and it is sad to hear, at least from a lot of the trans people that I personally know, that a lot have had the same experience, and it definitely shows that not enough is being done to actually get equal healthcare for everybody.
There's actually, in the UK, there's a change.org petition, I believe it's change.org, towards the UK government to invest more money in the NHS and gender services especially.
Brilliant.
So if any of the mods can kind of quickly Google it and put it in, if anyone wants to kind of check it out and sign it, that'd be amazing. Yeah,
we've actually been signing a bunch of petitions and things today while we've been chatting, so if one of the mods is able to find it, excellent. If not, I'll have a look in just a minute. But Ryan, this is kind of your wheelhouse. This is why you came here today. So would you like to blow us away with an answer?
Yeah, so I'm going to dive back a couple of years into like primary school and secondary school and stuff. So quick trigger warning. I don't know if anything I'm going to say might trigger you, but I just want to put a warning out there in case it does. But coming from an age of someone that's grown up as social media has developed, it's very much... we still have to search for our representation that we want. It's not, while it's easier, like, yeah, we can go on like BuzzFeed and do am I gay quizzes, you know, the generic. It's how you find out is like the rite of passage, you know, and we can go onto YouTube and find LGBT content creators, but it's still very much a case of you have to know where to look. And particularly in secondary school, in my final years, I actually came out in year 10 as bisexual, and I was the only openly gay person in the whole school, and there was like over 1,000 kids in school, and I was the only openly gay person. And one of my history teachers actually came out to me as bi as well, and I think stuff like that needs to happen more. Like, I'm not saying necessarily teachers need to be that open with students, but there just needs to be that level of actually knowing that there are people like you and around you, because I had countless people come out to me. I had like that history teacher was like a support, like a lifeline literally for me. She was so incredible. And it's very much because it is so isolating growing up queer. Like it's one of the most horrible experiences, and it's like you often hear this argument like, oh, you choose to be gay, when in reality I wouldn't choose this if I could. I would choose to be a cisgender woman who liked men if I could. I'd choose that in a heartbeat, because it's not easy. And I'm not saying that to scare anyone. I don't want to scare anyone, but it's like, I don't think people properly understand the lack of representation that is. And like someone was saying earlier, particularly with people of colour, it's very, in the media, it's very white.
Yep.
And since all the stuff happened in America last year, I feel I've become more aware of it, how white the media in LGBT stuff actually is. So I think that's really important as well, because while we need representation, everyone needs representation.
Yep.
Everyone needs that one person they can find and see, they look like me, I can get through this, I can be successful and, you know, have an awesome life. And it's just, again, going back to primary school, it was, I was on like year 2 or year something, maybe year 3, and there was this corner in the playground, and it was called the gay corner. And yeah, British primary school for you, gay corner. I was in there all the time, which is kind of funny. Now I'm on like a Twitch stream talking about being gay and all that fun stuff, but it was very much the hate kind of that stigmatized it, and it wasn't talked about at all. And I had to go out my way and research it. It was only when I made friends with certain people that I started to become more aware of where to look, like queer celebrities, and like what life is like, because I'm quite new on the gender journey. I changed my pronouns. When did I change them? So summer 2019 I started going by as Ryan, and then in the September I started using they them when I went to college. And it's just, that's very much, you need to know where to look. That is very limited information. And it's so frustrating that we have the tools that we have this thing that we've been given, that is social media, where we can voice how we feel and talk openly about things, yet people aren't able to necessarily find the people they need to that easily. And I'm actually near one of the schools that did the No Outsiders thing. So I think it was the primary school that was like, we're going to put books in our school where it's like the kids have 2 mums, and there was like the massive uproar. That's not far from me. And the head teacher of that school actually led the Birmingham Pride Parade in 2019. And it's just something that needs to be talked about. And when I say that, I don't mean tell young kids about being gay, just inform them that people live their lives differently.
Yeah.
That it's not all straight cisgender. They don't need to know the ins and outs from a necessarily like in detail from an early age. They just need to, as they grow, be fed that information and be told that it's okay to like the same gender or sex or whatever. It's okay to not feel like you relate to the body that you were given. It's okay to experiment and try out pronouns, because you don't necessarily, you might want to try them for a bit and see how they feel. You don't, and I feel like so many points coming into my head. And something else that I feel like isn't talked about is that you can change how you identify, and that is absolutely fine.
Yep.
Because back when I was in year 10, I identified as a bisexual woman. Now, 5 or 3 or however many years later, I'm sat here in my room identifying as a non-binary lesbian, and that is absolutely fine.
Yep.
It is more than okay to change how you identify, and that's something I don't think is talked about enough, because I find comfort in the labels, because I like straight facts, I like simple answers, and it's very confusing. A lot goes on, and I just think, like I said, we've been given this amazing tool of social media. I just think it's so upsetting that people still have to like search and scour the internet to find the support they need. Like, if I didn't know the people I knew if I didn't know my first girlfriend, I would not be where I am today. I would not be in this position at all. God knows where I'd be. But it's so frustrating that we've still got to search for this. And yeah, things are getting better, but I only left secondary school 2 years ago. So I left secondary school in 2019. And even in my last 2 years, there was barely any talk of it. It was like, there was a PSHE day one day, and someone said, "What does LGBT stand for?" And I was like, it's just mind-boggling that certain people don't know stuff unless like they're in that. It's like, you don't know it unless you're in that community, if that makes sense. It's like hidden knowledge, and it's just mind-boggling that people don't know it. And it's so upsetting that there's this language that people have and have developed, and people don't necessarily have access to or know how to get access to. I think that's all my point. I could ramble on about this and probably end up repeating myself about 1,000,000 times, but yeah.
Don't you worry. I mean, I very much identify with that as well, because I mean, when I was a kid, I like, my parents were super accepting and all that, but I think because of that, they didn't really tell me like, oh, this exists. It was just like, I knew that my mum had a lesbian best friend, and they'd come around the house and they'd bring me toys, and that's all I gave a shit about. It was like, yeah, free shit, awesome, happy here. But I never then really thought about it or knew about it. And I do remember being a kid and being like, I don't feel like a girl, but I have no idea what other options are available. I guess I'm just a tomboy. I'm going to wear combat trousers for the next 3 years. And then, like, I now identify as a cisgender woman, assigned female at birth. That's fine by me. Pretty happy with that. It's who I am. But when I was younger, I do kind of wish there was like a, hey, you do know it's okay to, like, not feel like a girl right now, you know, to hate pink and not want to be around other small girls because they annoy you. Like, that's fine. Like, that's not a bad thing. But yeah, Nikki, go ahead.
And so, you know, that's because children have plasticity of the brain. Like, you know, we're not, young children especially can, or, you know, they can learn, and they can, as their minds grow, you know, they have more acceptance, and that's more possible because of a biological aspect of their brains. You know, they haven't yet matured. And something that Ryan just said, which I think is really important, and you touched upon it as well, is that what's wrong with experimenting and changing? Like, I'm a trans woman. I was assigned male at birth. I consider that to mean that I am biologically male, and I can't change that. Some trans people disagree. Do I think I'm ever going to live as a man? Absolutely fucking never. If I decided, you know what, this isn't me, after identifying as trans for forever and transitioning like over 10 years ago, is like, who's that got to do with? Like, why is that such an issue, you know?
Yeah.
And I always say, me being trans has something to do with me and the person in between my legs and nobody else. Society, they shouldn't give a fuck. Like, workplace, family, because no matter, you know, it's supposed to accept you no matter what. So why does it matter if that's not how you are going to be forever? We're all on a journey in life. We're all changing, because transitioning into something, whether it's an older, wiser person, or whether it's a more kind of sexually open kind of person, or whatever it is that we're learning or that we're doing in life. we're all kind of upgrading ourselves to be a better version.
Awesome. Yeah.
So that's how I view it. Like, point Ryan.
Yeah, I think everyone's raised really good points, and I'm loving Bendy's constantly evolving background. Every time you come back on, it's like you're in a different house.
So my computer crashed and
Right.
then my phone died. All at once.
Of course, and Discord just keeps crapping itself, so that's fun.
Yeah, so I'm so sorry.
No, don't you be sorry. It's
There's
absolutely
too
fine.
many distracting theatrics happening in this box for the conversation, so I'm so sorry.
Don't you worry. Nobody needs
I'm
to
back.
apologize. Nobody needs to apologize. Is everyone good to carry on? Does anyone need a minute, or do we want to go for another question? Looks like everyone's doing all right. As I say, if anything, we have... Oh, yeah, Nikki, go ahead.
Realised I had another important fact, and I don't know whether my friend's streaming in, but there's a very, very famous London stylist called Lismore, who has created a room on what I totally forgot the name, Clubhouse. It's LGBTQIA plus room. I think it's probably the biggest. It happens every single night, and I usually moderate. And there's quite a few moderators. But really interesting, yesterday Dita Von Teese was in it, and then Boy George was in it the day before. So we're trying to work as a kind of a coalition of kind of activist campaigners and also kind of well-known allies and people part of the community to raise awareness of all different issues, including those, including people part of our community in Iran and in Russia and in Ghana, which is really terrible what's happening there. You're back.
It's changed again.
So
I'm nearly dying laughing.
Found a partial green screen.
Oh.
Just wanted to raise that as
I'm just gonna.
It's just you're just gonna have to put the camera on the floor and it's like this is
See,
carpet.
The thing is, my partner wanted to help me, and he quickly put this up. And I was trying to tell them, like, you can't do this. Like that, it's Discord. It's not anything else. So now I just have this lovely green sheet behind me. So I hope it accentuates.
Apparently, it's the Lady Gaga of background changes.
Yes.
Perfect.
I haven't been at a con for so long, so why don't I can't do 5 wardrobe changes in a day. I might as well do like 6 screen changes. I am so sorry.
Don't stop apologizing. Stop apologizing.
Yeah.
We're just getting to see your house. It's lovely. So, but yes, there was something else I was going to say, but I don't remember what it was because I am again a very smart human. But I am going to have a quick check on the donations and see how we are doing there. And we're up to £1,577 as well, as we've had some more very generous donations come in. So thank you, everyone. It's all I can do is do the British head nod. That's pretty good. So
I feel like I've just been sat here the whole time while everyone's speaking, going.
Literally every single person has. I could put us all on like a revolving gif of just like nodding dogs. It's
Yes.
pretty good, and I mean for the entire 10 hours. So. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. In fact, actually, I do remember the one thing I was going to say because we were mentioning representation and how it needs to be intersectional as well. And I just want to say, and I'm going to say this with the most British accent ever, so please laugh at me. Lil Nas X's video yesterday was fucking incredible. And we do have a minor here, so cover your ears. Oh my God, no. It was the gayest, kinkiest, sexiest, amazing video. And
who laid his edges? That's what I just need to know. Who did that?
Like,
because
all the little curls as well, which is, as far as I understand, with black women, it's usually a sort of feminine sort of curls to go for. And I was just like, I am loving.
Edges.
Yes, that cool term. That not something I know with a just giant side fringe since I was 13.
Yeah.
So, but again, like. There was just so much, again, intersectionality between so many different cultures and gender identities and exploration. And again, another dude wearing heels that I've never seen so incredibly and I want them. And, you know, not many people can twerk on the devil and then go on Twitter and be like, ha, come along, let's fucking have it. And I'm just like,
I feel like I'm missing out. I haven't watched it
it's
yet.
it's
Oh.
called Montero, and it's basically a love letter to his 14-year-old self and how he's grown and
Yes.
taken control of his demons,
Oh.
hence literally fucking Satan. And
A side note with that, I'm so sorry. Go ahead and
no, I
Yeah.
watched the entire thing because I'm a massive lover of sort of videography and film and all that kind of thing, and that's what I studied, and I did music video and that kind of thing. And I'm just watching it like, I am, everything is perfect, and it's so raunchy, and then immediately all the people going, you can't show kids this. It's like, well, don't show your fucking kids then. Like, be responsible for the media that you want them to consume, but also for, you know, if there is a black 14-year-old boy out there who's gay and sees that
Yes.
video and actually realizes I can grow up to be successful,
Yes.
and somebody looks like me and they're happy. Oh my, and I was like, yes, that's the representation that's needed.
That is so important.
there's a lot of difficulty, especially in the Black community, with accepting homosexuality,
Yep.
specifically with men. It's even bigger when you have, they say African American, but a lot of us come from different parts. So West Indians, myself specifically, like my family has a very, very in-depth generational curse of homophobia, which you're not homophobic, you're just an asshole in my mind. But so it's so deeply ingrained with Black men, so that for Little Nas to do that and for him to show that, it's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I've even had a moment, like we've got a thread going in this queer community that I'm in online, that a man legit said that he didn't want to wash his, I'll use the British term, bum, because it made him feel gay. And that is so deeply ingrained, and there's so many layers of issues with that, and they can't even handle Little Nas on Twitter. Like,
No.
he posted a clip of that song, Call Me By Your Name, and he had gotten a chess piece. And I don't know if anyone's seen it. It's freaking hysterical, and I love it so much. But he's like bouncing his boobs as he's dancing to it, and like Twitter went crazy.
Yep.
And there was a lot of guys in the comments making stupid remarks, and it's like, you have internalized this way too much.
Yeah.
And Little Nas is causing you to feel uncomfortable with that, and hopefully it causes even more for it to break you out of that, essentially.
And I'm going to repeat the exact same thing I've said on the last...
Get rid of it.
Sorry. Oh, the entire... Oh.
It's my last reveal, I promise.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to turn around in a minute and actually be Lil Nas X, and I'm just be like...
I'm going to take this hair off, and there's going to be another hair underneath. Yeah.
But
just reveals everywhere.
Yeah, it's all right. We now have a human collapse behind you, so that should be fine as well.
Yes.
They have just heard the reveal. You are Little Nas X and just gone.
Yes.
So
call me by your name. That's all I say.
Perfect. Thank you, Montero. It's really appreciated. I mean, what I've said on the last, literally each 2-hour section is just, you're not a bad person for not knowing something or for necessarily having an inherent view, which, and let me say the whole thing before it gets clipped, for having, say, a homophobic view or a sexist view. That doesn't necessarily make you a bad person, but you may have been raised with ideas that maybe you don't actually like vibe with, or maybe you've been raised with a highly religious family, and so you have been taught certain things, or maybe you've had experiences, but that doesn't make you a bad person. If you've come here to learn, that's fucking cool, and that's really good, and that's a sign of a good person. And I'm really hoping people see Lil Nas's video and go, oh, I feel uncomfortable, but then stop and go, oh, why? Why am I frightened of this? Why does this make me feel inferior? You know, why does this video on a screen threaten me? Let's figure that out. And it's only when people then look at that and then go, well, I've thought about it and I've decided everyone else is wrong and I am right. No, then you're the dick.
Yeah.
Like,
and
again,
it's
not that dicks are bad, but you know what I mean. That
learned homophobia and the learned transphobia that's within the Black community it's rough, because we deal with that a lot here, in that they're so uncomfortable by someone else expressing themselves in a way that they never could or don't know how, that we see a lot of violence and a lot of especially down south in Atlanta. A lot of times I know some friends down there that have experienced a lot of hate being trans in the Atlanta area because of those personal issues that they're expressing onto other people. And it goes back to that access to resources. If young Black men had better access to resources to teach them that this is okay and this is a thing and it's okay to wash your butt, like then they would have less of this extreme reaction to the different, so it's tough.
Yeah. And again, people, please wash your ass, no matter who you are. Just please wash. If you, at some point, in some way, even because again, I say that and I'm like, actually no, because there are some people who physically cannot wash their own butts.
Yes, yeah,
but
still,
yes. Take care of yourself is basically what I'm saying. Is it's not okay to look after yourself, and you shouldn't need to be so afraid of your own body because of other misconceptions and preconceptions you have that you neglect yourself. That shouldn't be a thing. And I'm sorry for some people that it is, and that they're that frightened that they don't really know how to deal with it. And I hope that they find some representation, that one day they're kind of like, oh, I'm a little bit scared of it, but I'm just gonna peek at this. Well, that's okay. Let's and then it just starts to chink away at that sort of very angry armor.
And that's the importance of artists like Little Nas, and the importance of a lot of these in the nerd community, a lot of Black nerds expressing their queerness and doing things like gender bending, or removing the feminine or masculine from a specific character, and being in spaces with each other with this, like especially at cons. I knew a cosplayer who was a very, very masculine facing guy, and he never really felt okay being feminine, or like even having a girlfriend that was masculine that would make him feel emasculated just because she's stronger than him. And years and years of being within our community and being friends with and loving and having a family of folks that were so diverse and different, he ended up doing more feminine facing costumes and feeling like, okay, I'm pushing past this uncomfortableness, and I like this, and I think I look fire, and it's great, and this is expressive in a way. And it's just like taking that step to go into that, and knowing like, hey, Little Nas is awesome, and I like Little Nas, and this is what he's doing, and it's okay. Oh, okay, I feel better about these parts of myself. So
yeah. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to add to this particular one, or do we want to look at another question?
I'd just say that's probably the weirdest PSA that's ever been done. I just find it.
I'm sorry, it cut out for me. What?
Sorry, I just said I think that's the weirdest PSA that I've ever heard. Please wash your ass.
Your bum.
Yes.
Yeah, wash your ass.
It's all right.
Wash your bum.
Just do it.
Next, you gave. How do I say this? Touching your dick doesn't make it gay. Like, I don't understand. It's yours. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
It's gosh.
Now, a little bit gay, at least. But...
Yeah.
Right. So hold on. We may have a Pugs. Pugs has been connected for more than a few seconds. Pugs, are you there?
Can you hear me?
We can! Hello, Pugs! Welcome in!
Oh no, I am so embarrassed.
Don't be
I am
embarrassed.
very sorry.
Don't be embarrassed. We've just had an entire conversation about washing asses. It's fine. Don't worry. It's absolutely fine.
Well, I feel like I've joined at the right time then.
Perfect! Well, then let us take a step back for just a moment so that we can introduce you and get you up to speed before we go into our next question.
Before we do that,
yes.
Can you see me?
No.
Okay. I am very scared to do this, but we're going to try.
Alrighty.
Let me know if you see me.
We see you!
You do?
We do.
Yay!
Hello.
Hang on, I feel like Pugs need some lighting. Are we better?
Now we can properly see Pugs. Excellent.
I would like to start off, and I apologise for taking over for the next couple of minutes. I would like to start off by saying I sincerely apologise. Discord and the internet as a whole is against me for some reason, and I'm not sure why. But I think we're okay. Are we on? We're
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, Discord's been kicking itself in the face for the last hour, so I wouldn't worry about it. It's happening to all of us. So
Okay.
it's all right. We've all been bit crushed for a while. Don't worry.
I'm going to keep my fingers crossed.
Good. Fair enough. Don't you worry. Are we good? Shall we get on with introducing you and then go on to our next question, or do you need a moment at all?
I think we're good. I don't want to disrupt because I know I'm very late. So
It's not your fault. Don't you worry.
let's get. I tell you what we'll do. We'll keep the conversation going. Let's not make it about me. Let's keep the
No.
conversation going.
It's my show. No, we're going to introduce you. Let's go through it quick fire. So
Overruled.
there are rules to be followed here. There's not. Could you tell us your name, your pronouns, and just a little bit about you?
Sure. So pronouns he, him. My name is Frankie. I'm a Brit, but who lives in Spain. I'm a gay man, married, very happily married with another male, and we have 2 babies, which are dogs, not children. I'm a member of Pride here in Spain, which is called Manilva Pride, which is we're a very small town in the south of Spain, but we've made some big waves in the last couple of years. This area of Spain has never seen a pride or known anything about a pride or what pride is about. But the last couple of years, we've created Manilva Pride, and it's grown massively in the last couple of years. It's been amazing. The reception's been fantastic, and it's huge. We're attracting around 2,000 to 3,000 people.
Oh wow!
Unfortunately, Miss Rona has put a stop to that, as I think it has stopped everyone in the world. But we're looking to come back hard and fast next year. Fingers crossed, if everything in the world is whatever normal is. We're hoping to come back thicker and fast next year. But yeah, so I'm a part of a Pride organisation. As I said, I live in the south of Spain, so that is me really. I'm interesting / uninteresting in the standard kind of person, but it's amazing here. You know, in my area, there is we have some trans people who are very unrepresented. Wow, I can't even speak English, frankly. Unrepresented in this area. It's a very new kind of concept in a way to certain people here. They don't understand what trans is and stuff. To the point, and I'm sorry to get deep, and I apologize again. I'm taking over very late because internet and Discord hates me, but very, very serious issues actually. What's happened in the last few years? We've got trans people here who are being beaten. Very, 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 very dark stuff actually. Who, as a Pride team, we're trying to help, trying getting them out of that situation, trying to help them getting to work, finding accommodation. As a Pride team, we're paying for their accommodation at the moment to get an apartment of their own, to be in a safe space of their own, actually, to be somewhere where they can unapologetically be themselves and be at home and live their life as they want to be and as they feel they should be. Because where we are right now, it's very uncommon. It's not something that's spoken about. It's not something that happens a lot. And as a small team, there's only 5 of us. It's very important to have these conversations and very important to just be aware and make people aware that, you know, not everybody is a cis white person in the world. Not every male has to marry a woman and have children. You know, as a man myself, as a white cis man, I'm very privileged. Let's make no mistake about it. Okay, I'm gay, but I'm still very, very privileged than a lot more people. So that's kind of my work and my message that I want to put out there and I want to say to people. So, you know, that's kind of my life as a whole, myself. I can't complain. I have a very good life. I have a happy life generally. We all have moments that are difficult. I think every single person in the world has that. But it's for people like me, and this is my personal belief. It's for people like me to spread that and say, actually, just because my life's okay, it doesn't mean everybody else's is, and it doesn't mean that everybody else should just be, oh, just get on with it. Because my biggest thing, I think a lot of people just say, yeah, but just get on with it. Well, we can't just get on with it when we're being battered or we're being killed or we're being constantly hated on. I think that's the important thing that I try to live for anyway. So
Yeah, no,
it's just my 2 pence worth.
no, incredibly well said, and it does need to be said. It's a hard thing to hear sometimes, and as I say, if anyone does require help or needs to talk to somebody about things that they're hearing today on the stream, you can type in !I need help into the chat, which will give you helplines across the world. So wherever you are, you can find somebody to talk to. But it does need to be said. You know, it's people are having real lived experiences, and it's not all sunshine and rainbows. You know, and it can't be, which is why we have to keep having these conversations, and we have to keep putting ourselves out there and being able to stand up for the ones who can't. You know, because if that's what we can do, and we can be out there to help give others voices, then hopefully that means that they don't actually need to stand up and talk for themselves if they don't want to. So I think that is important, and I agree with what you said. Before we get into our next question, tell us 3 quick fun facts about you, Pugs.
Oh, about me?
No, about me. What do you know about me? Come on.
Well, I know you are fabulous. I know you have blue hair, and I know you have beautiful pussies. I've seen it.
Well, there we are.
As we all do. For me, oh God, okay. So I'm a Brit who lives in Spain.
Yep.
Brexit is fun. We'll say no more about Brexit.
Don't get me fucking started.
Conversation for another day.
Yeah.
As Kim Woodburn would say, I've walked into shit. I won't put up with it. So I live in Spain. I work. I can't say what my job is, but I work in marketing, which I love. I'm married to a man, and we have 2 beautiful dogs. One of them being a pug, of course. One of them being a Labrador, and I'm a singer. And I was on the X Factor when I was 17. X Factor UK. I got through the judges' houses. That was a shit show. It was terrible. It was very what's the word? I don't want to say fixed, because fixed isn't the word, because public votes are public votes. However, it was very much edited and marketed towards their favourites. But that's pretty much it. I don't have much going on. I'm not that fascinating. I'm just a general man who loves to sing, and that's it.
I do love how pretty much every single guest has gone, oh, I'm not very interesting, and then just an entire litany of incredible things about every single person has come out, and it's just like, yeah, bullshit. I see you're being humble.
You know what, though? I don't know how anyone else feels, but I found a very I don't know the words I'm looking for, but quite a realization of we're not all that different. If you think about it, I mean, you really look at it, we're not all that different, really. You know, we all have uniquenesses about us, and we all have certain aspects of our personality, but we're not really that different if you think about it. Really, deep down, we just all want to be loved. We all want to be cared about, but also we also want to care about other people. We're not that different, really.
Yeah, we've all got common threads.
Exactly.
Alrighty.
That's what I think, anyway.
Perfect. Alrighty. Right. Well, let's get into our next question. So, let's see. I think this one's probably going to be the best one to go with. Is there something about your experience as an LGBTQIA plus person that you wish other people knew, or advice you could give to somebody in your situation, whatever age or part of their journey they may be in? Like, what would you say to them? And we will start with Bendy, and again, we will work our way down in a kind of snakes and ladders type situation.
I think for me, specifically, I came out later than I should have. Like, I knew, and it's always funny when you come out. I originally came out bi, because at the time, bi was all I knew. I was in my early 20s, and I knew I loved women. I knew that I loved men. I knew that I loved people and humans and non-binaries. I just was like, oh, I can say bi, but then I felt like that was a closed box. So I moved more towards queer, and I was like, okay, but I really, really love more. My attraction is more towards women and women aligned. So there was a lot of shifts in that. But when I came out, and trigger warning, unsupportive parents, when I have my mother who's Jamaican, who has a lot of internalized homophobia, and I have my father who is overly Christian, and you know this if you know it. He's a Trump supporter, so that was difficult. We don't talk. I call him my donor at this point.
Fair enough.
But when I first came out, I was told, you don't have to tell people that. People who are actually that don't feel a need to tell people, which is odd because I think we're some of the most vocal people, and rightly so. But I leaned on my friends who became my family. And, on the other side of that, my mother, who was like, she was about to say, oh, it's just a phase. But thankfully, I came out to my mother with my godfather, who is gay. And he said, Gloria, don't you say that. Don't say it. You know it's not true. You saw her during college. You know what this is. So, I had that safety net there through my godfather, and then I had friends who were very supportive and people who validated me and started building a network of people. So I think for others, it's understanding that, it's cliche to say, but your family isn't just the people who are related to you by blood.
Yep.
Your family is this community, and it's not just the LGBTQIA plus community. If you are a nerd, if you are a theater geek, if you really, really like collecting bottle caps from the 1700s. I don't know. Like, you have a community of people who, like Pug said, we're all similar. So you can build your family with that and find solace and validation. And I think that's really important for people to know going forward, that, hey, if your donor says some stupid stuff, they can stay over there.
Yeah. Blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. And again, people like to really contract that to blood is thicker than water, which is actually the complete fucking opposite of what the phrase is meant to be. So, no, it's who you choose. That blood, that family you make is more important than whoever you got pushed out of.
Mm-hmm.
It's who you choose to align with.
Yes.
So, yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much. Lost, how about you?
I'm trying to think of a way to word everything. I'm very sorry. But
Don't
basically, don't let anyone push you in a closet. Basically, I don't know if this needs a trigger warning or anything, but like I guess it does because like unsupportive family and then also foster care. So when I was younger, I was in foster care, and I had a foster mom who the only thing that there was gay, straight, and bi. So, surprised that she believed in that. That's all I'm going to say. She was very not the best. But I tried to come out to her as not what my birth gender was. I'm just going to say it like that. And she forced me back into the closet because I was the perfect little girl that she wanted, and I didn't get to really be myself until I was 18. So don't put yourself in a closet and try to go forward, and don't let anyone hold you back. That's what I would basically tell myself, or tell other people. I guess a bit of advice that might help.
Yeah, no, that's incredibly valid, and I'm sorry you had that experience, but I'm so glad you're here to share it with us and to be able to give that advice to other people who might need to hear it. Because it's a right shitty situation, but I'm glad you are being able to be who you are now, even if it might be a bit difficult or if it's, meant it's a bit later than you'd like it to be. But you are, and everyone here is incredibly valid, and I'm really proud of everyone for the, like, we may not know each other like intimately and personally at the minute, but I'm proud of every single person who's been on the show today for their lives and stories and experiences, because you're all still here, and you've all fought to this point, to this day, no matter what you've lived through, and still going and still willing to then take that and use it to educate and help others. That's amazing. That's absolutely fantastic. It's just, yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Lost. All right, how about you, Natalie?
So something I want people to understand, and Ryan touched on this a little bit earlier, but it's not just a thing where you're just walking around one day and then just this flip switches off in your head and you're like, oh, I'm this or I'm that. Like, it's okay to take your time, and it's okay to not know right away, and it's okay to change your mind. I know for me, when I first began questioning my sexuality, I thought I was bisexual for a while, because I think that for me there was still some comp hit going on in my mind, and also and like it took years where I was like, just the thought of ending up with a man still seemed weird to me. And I was like, well, I still find some men, good looking, so, but like the thought of ending up with a man versus with a woman, like that felt right. So it wasn't until like a few years ago where I was like, yeah, definitely 100% gay. And just, it depends on the situation, sometimes in the right place in the right time to discover who you are. And you just have to take it at your own pace, and it's just important to respect somebody's decisions.
Bro, yeah, I mean, very good advice as well. And a lot of people talk about, oh, I wish I came out sooner, or I wish that I'd known this sooner. It's like, if you did it at a point, that was probably the earliest point you could have done it at, because you did it at that exact point, and there's no point mourning for time you could have had, because you're doing it now, and that's amazing. And it may not feel perfect, but it's happening, and that, if it means that you're working towards a happy you, then that's fucking great. It's brilliant, and it's never too late. It might feel like it, but it never is. It never is. How about you, Nikki?
Sorry.
Don't you worry.
Yeah, everyone donate, support trans youth.
We have just hit 1.6k as well.
Could you repeat the question? I remember it, to formalize it again in my mind.
Don't you worry. Is there something about your experience as a wait, hold on. 1,800 now. That came out of nowhere. Holy cow.
So that means we need to make 2,000. Just saying. We need to make 2,000.
Oh, I see a couple of very cheeky people on the stream may have been doing things. Well, I'm going to look over here for now, but holy cow. Thank you very much, everybody, for your incredible generosity, because it's going to help. So, like, we're talking now about advice for people like us, and to actually then be able to fund that and put our money where our mouths are, literally, is awesome.
Also, just to add, like, Mermaids UK was set up by a lady called Susie Green, who is the most supportive mother of a transgender daughter, who has received horrific backlash over basically setting up a charity to help trans and non-binary youth. It's absolutely disgusting, the things that she's had to deal with, and she's happy to deal with it because obviously her daughter's trans and she supports, the youth. So, if it wasn't for mermaids and gendered intelligence, which are very hand in hand, very similar as charities, what would trans youth do in the UK, So it's super important. And thank you for raising it to the attention. I can't pronounce it. Sorry.
Arthremis. There you go. Nobody can say it, don't you worry.
Certain things to kind of raise awareness, but like, I don't know this kind of, how I've been struggling with, like, So yeah, so thank you for kind of hosting this event. Oh, sorry, the question.
Don't you worry, don't you worry. And happy to do what I can because it is important, as you say. So, I've gone. Where is it? There we are. There we go. Is there something about your experience as an LGBTQIA plus person that you wish other people knew, or advice you could give to other people like you who may be in a similar situation?
I mean, I'm only going to talk really about the trans experience because that's speaking from my experience. I'm not going to try and speak for others. I don't see that as my job. But I do think that trans people are some of the strongest people. They have such resilience. And, I get not really much recently, and I don't know whether that's because I have somewhat of passing privilege, meaning that people sometimes don't recognize that I'm trans, even though I'm very visibly, verbally trans and open about that. So it's happened much recently in the last few years, but I used to get people come up to me and say, "Oh, you're so brave." And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, do you know me? How am I so brave? They'd be like, "Oh, well, because you're trans." And I'm like, I don't. That's not me being brave. That's just me being me, really. And trigger warning now. Really stuff, deep shit. My experience of being trans was I rather had the option to transition or kill myself. In between, I couldn't exist any longer how I was, and this was at I think about 17 years old, and it wasn't. I'm never going to say it was an easy thing, but I mean it was just a decision I had to make because I didn't want to die. I wanted to live, and I wanted to experience life. And that had consequences. I had to present as homeless. After to do a hormonal transition because my parents didn't really support that, and I was still living with family at like 17. So around 18, I presented myself as homeless. And weirdly enough, actually, I didn't come out to my parents as transgender until I was about 21. But like home, and I transitioned. Like everyone treated me as a woman, as a young woman, but I just never said to my parents, "By the way, I'm trans." Like I think they must have knew. So they kind of assumed that I was a kind of like a boy George or a David Bowie or a Prince type kind of. I just wanted to kind of be gender fluid, I guess you would call that now. Easiest thing, and another huge major trigger warning. I'm so happy being me, but in been 7 occasions now where I've been seriously physically attacked. 5 of them were recorded as hate crimes. The worst of which was by a group of men who were in a gay bar and followed me outside a gay bar. They weren't gay. And the group of men attacked me. I was with one gay guy and like 5 girlfriends, and they attacked me from behind and ponchers, and I had deviated septum, bruised ribs. The thing on that though was I had a footprint on my forehead, which took some inner strength to really deal with that situation. And I didn't go out for a long time, and I was agoraphobic and anxious, major anxiety, PTSD. I'm still so happy with being me. I'm still so content. I would never change the way that I am for anybody. Nobody should. You shouldn't change who you are. I wish that everyone had that inner acceptance so strong to be able to kind of decisions that they might feel was selfish, but were entirely their decision that they made for themselves, you know, because I talk about this quite publicly when I do my events, my public speaking. Transitioning is a selfish act, I believe. It's entirely about you. Shouldn't it be? Why do you have to consider anybody else? So it is entirely selfish, and other people will struggle and probably struggle more than you in some senses, you know, especially if you have loved ones that care about you. That shouldn't stop you from doing what you need to do, though. Say is like now I mentioned now that I'm kind of passable, you know, being passable still causes issues, you know. Again, a major trigger warning. Like 2 years ago, even a friend's event, 3 guys approached me and tried to convince me to go back to their hotel. And I said, no, leave me alone, type of thing. And I was drunk and it was late. My phone was dead. I couldn't order an Uber, you know. There's a guy across the road who said, who came and said, okay. And I said, yeah, I'm okay. That's right, leave me alone. And I said, listen, leave her alone, go back. She said she's not interested. And I was so grateful for him. I was really like grateful. And then he said, where are you going? And I said, I just need to walk to a main road to hail a cab. And on the way back, on the way to the main road, he tried to rape me at knife point. And what that's really taught me is that I always kind of thought about my difficulties in life being kind of trans related. That's not entirely the case, you know. Being a woman in general, being seen as a woman by society can be very dangerous. And you know, in England, we had the recent, I don't know whether you know about the young woman called Sarah, who was kidnapped and eventually was murdered for walking home at night. So I would say, though, to anyone who's kind of you exist how you ever, you should exist in the most authentic way that you need to exist, you know, and find happiness. Existing on its own is not enough. I could have existed for a few more years on its own. That's never enough. You need to be happy as well, and you need to make decisions that are right for you and you only. So that's what I try and kind of educate to other people, and that there will be ups and downs. There will be ups and downs anyway in life, and you know what doesn't break you makes you stronger, and that's why some of the most strongest people that I know are LGBT plus people. That's what I try and kind of put out there to those who don't really understand the experience. I try and share my kind of experiences and show that you can still be quite on a journey, but still be quite happy, and know that, you know, light at the end of the tunnel. And what I try and focus on is other people that don't have as much privilege as myself. Super important, being, you know, kind of cis passing and being white and living in England and having kind of equality laws that protect me. Important to bring up other people's struggles as well. For that long rant, but
don't you apologize at all. I think I'll probably say almost the thing, but Jesus fucking Christ, I am so sorry that happened to you, but I'm also so proud that you are still happy to come and talk about and share that with other people, because that is a tragic event that you are turning around to help others, which is, again, incredible. And I know you do a lot of public speaking and things like that, but still, it's an incredible, resilient show of force. And I think that's why we're all just kind of sat there like nodding for a second, just like, fuck yeah. Like, that's a beautiful thing to see. I think you...
Resilient.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, I don't think there's anything we can really add to that, but it's, yeah, again, there's nothing obviously that, and we would hope that if people saw something like that, they would say something and actually help. But Jesus, it's one of those where it's like, there is really nothing that we can say but say that, holy cow.
I did say it was quite like...
No, yeah. It's more that it's just like, I'm like just incredibly like proud that you're still sat there smiling like this has happened, let's talk about it. It's like that, exactly what you have said. Some of the strongest people I do know are trans people, because transitioning is painful as fuck. There is so much that goes into it, especially if you medically transition. Like, nobody willingly goes through surgery unless they really want to. And, you know, that it takes a lot of strength. And then to...
Yeah, I just like to add, like, from my perspective, and apologies for jumping in, but I think it's very important for, it's the age-old saying of people will never learn or be educated unless we speak out. And it's so underrepresented that trans people go through these kind of experiences, and it's more common than we like to think about or admit that these kind of situations happen, i.e. sex trafficking and rape as an example. And trigger warning, I apologize, but this is a lot more common than people realize, and it's so important that people like yourself, Nikki, that say this. And you know, we don't have to talk about it all the time, but just saying it once can make a lot of people hear this. You know, for example, the people that are watching now, there could be one or two people that hear that and go, okay, I resonate with that, or I've learned something from that, or I didn't realize that. It's so important. And not just for the trans, you know, the trans community, or whatever community we're talking about here, whether it's from a racial perspective. It's so important that people speak about their personal experience, and that's all they're talking about. And you rightly said that is your personal experience and what you have gone through. You're not speaking for anybody else. You're not speaking on behalf of every single trans person, but this is what you have gone through. This is what you're experiencing. And actually, when you say that, you might find 10, 15 other people in that experience going, I've experienced that. And they realize for once they're not alone. They're not, oh, okay, I thought it was just me. I thought I just went through that. No. And it's from no matter what community you're from, no matter what you represent, unless we speak about it, unless we say this is happening, realize this is happening. People won't realize that. And I'm sick and tired of being told, yeah, but you have your rights. Get on with it. No, let's not get on with it. Because until we have that full equality, and I know it's age old, but until we have that full equality, and being gay, being trans, being black isn't a thing, equality doesn't exist. I look at a person as a person. I don't sit there and say, I've got a black friend, I've got a gay friend, I've got a trans friend. No, I've got a friend. Now, I say that as a man who experiences these things, right? I'm a gay man, so I'm constantly fighting for that. But it's important for us, say, and you, Nikki, who were saying, these are my experiences. This is not what your generic cis white male or female goes through. This is what I'm experiencing. And it might happen to you once, twice. But actually, if you look at the grand scheme of things, it's happening daily. And more for you, Nikki, than me, right? You've got to experience this daily. I'm not going to speak for you, and I'll allow you to speak for yourself, of course. But it's so important that we have this conversation. And again, I'll echo what you said. This kind of platform is so important. So important, whether we're talking to 4 people or 40,000 people. It's important that we have these conversations. And I don't mean this in a patronizing way, and forgive me if it comes across that way, but I admire you for your experiences and what you're doing from a voicing your experiences and your lifestyle, because it's so important. The more we do this, we'll never get to a point where this becomes normal. I mean, quote in quotes, whatever normal is these, whatever normal is. But actually, for me, equality is exactly that we become the norm. And maybe I'm not wording that correctly, but it's not about, I'm trans. No, you're just human who wants to live how you feel and who you truly are. And a black person can walk down the street and not have to worry about the tone of their skin, because for me, I can't understand it, and I struggle to understand that. One, because I'm not trans, and I am a white man. I just couldn't begin to comprehend what it would be like to walk the streets of New York, for example, and have to worry, oh God, it's getting dark and I'm black. It just baffles me. So sorry for chiming in. I just wanted to say that, Nikki. I think it's so important what you're saying. And you know what I mean? I apologize if I'm not articulating it correctly, but I hope you understand that what I'm trying to say is it's so important what you're saying, that we have to get that word out and people have to understand that transitioning for yourself is for yourself. However, the experiences you have to go through doesn't just affect you. It's a domino effect, and what you're saying is it's amazing, and I stand with you. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry.
No, I completely. I'll let Nikki speak in just a moment. I will say I completely understand what you mean, and I wish we weren't having this panel right now. And I say that honestly because you have all been incredible people to talk to. But I wish we didn't have to gather like this to be like, we're real people. Hello, please don't attack us. I wish we didn't have to do that. But until the day we do not have to, we will continue to. There needs to be people willing to stand up and stand for those who can't or don't want to, because it's perfectly acceptable for some people to be like, oh no, I do not want to deal with that. It's like, no, neither do we. We will stand there, we'll be the vanguard, and we will help because we are willing to, and because we feel like we can. It's very much being allies for each other. We don't have to be every single part of the LGBTQIA+, but we need to make sure that every single part, every single person, every single letter we need to be allies, even if we are already part of the group.
And I think that's important, though. I think too often, and I apologise again, I'm just chiming in, they call me a gobshite. In England, we call us a gobshite because I've got so much to say.
Yeah, noisy fuckers one that you should go with.
Oh, yes, as you do. But I think too often allies are disregarded. And allies are just as important in a way as being part of that community. Allies are so important because, let's be real, allies outnumber us. If we're all honest, if we're all honest about who we are, probably wouldn't. It's probably 50-50, let's be real, right? But in the grand scheme of things, allies are so important. And that's the key, though, right? Allies are not just, oh, I love my gay boys, or I love my lesbians. I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but if you're an ally of humans. And I don't like personally, I don't like the term, but I love gays. But that's fine, and that's great, and that is great. But are you an ally of for me, I'm an ally of humans and people who authentically want to be themselves.
Yeah.
And to Nikki's point, you don't be yourself for anyone else but yourself. And if you want to call yourself an ally, you're not just an ally because you've got a gay friend, or you've got your best friend is a lesbian now. That's not what an ally is. But allies are equally as important as us as an umbrella to speak our truth. We also need allies to portray that message to potentially people we can't reach, if that makes sense.
Allies need to be active, not performative. Yes. You can't just be like, oh, I love gay boys. It's like, great, now what are you actually doing to protect them? Like, have you actually gone around with your friends and looked after them?
Yeah.
Because we probably can't reach, right? We probably can't reach that stereotypical white male who works on a building site. They're not going to be tuning into something like this, right? Or they're not going to be watching some, what, I don't know what, whatever. That's where allies come in. That's where allies come in and sit down with their husbands or their friends and say, well, actually, this is what it means. And this and that's where allies are important. And rather than just saying to us, oh my God, I love you. You're amazing. Well, that's fine. But what are you saying when we're not around? And who are you
Right.
explaining this to?
And I think
a huge sorry.
don't worry, I was just going to say, I'll say one thing, and then Nikki, I'll just chime in with you if there was anything you wanted to add. But I think, and especially, and it really turned my mind to it from the whole Black Lives, not the whole, sounds very sort of dismissive, but I mean, as in what's been happening in life and on the internet, but the whole Black Lives Matter movement and what it's standing for and the people in that. It's really, really hammered home. We can't just be pro things. You have to be anti. You have to be anti-racist. You can't just not be a racist. That's not great.
Challenge
you need to actually
people.
challenge people and say, no, actually, that shit won't stand here. You need to be anti-transphobic. You cannot just say, oh, but I like gays. It's like, no. You actually have to be able to stand up to somebody else and go, no, what you are saying is wrong. Not just, oh, well, I might upset somebody. It's like, no, you're going to have to upset somebody sometimes. Nikki, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Sure, a few points really. When Hugs mentioned, be allies, I was going to raise a point, but I guess people kind of did anyway, in terms of it's not good enough to just be an ally. I was going to kind of talk about kind of active bystander. So when you see something, when you hear something, like you need to kind of prove that you're an ally by your action, by saying it's not acceptable, by kind of educating in any way that is within your remit. When I'm thinking myself now, in that I feel like I still need to do more. I still need. It takes. I mean, people that aren't trans or maybe have not shared my experiences might not be able to fully understand this, but it takes a lot of emotional kind of effort. It takes a lot out of someone to discuss their really personal difficulties and to be able to spend time in educating. The reason why I took part in this is because I want to be generation that gets attacked for being trans. Doing a charitable event for youth is super important to me. But I don't want young people to go through the difficulties I have. And whilst I did say that I can only talk about my experiences, which is exactly what I've done so far, means that unfortunately I'm not a minority who have that shared experience in the trans community. I'm in a transgender group on one of the popular websites. It's a private group. About 600 trans women. We are all deemed in one way or another passing. We are all kind of medically transitioning or transitioned. And whilst it's not a safe space, like the girls read one another to death, sometimes it's very harsh. There is a kind of sisterhood throughout us all. And I would say probably 80% of them have faced some sort of kind of assault, whether it be physical or sexual, just based on their gender identity. And 4 out of 5 trans pupils in schools are bullied for being trans. A huge amount of trans youth kind of self-harm, have suicide ideation or attempt to commit suicide. And I just want to be a kind of, hopefully a driving force for conversations to say, this isn't acceptable and what can we do about it? That's super important to me. I've gone through not only like my own journey with assaults and hate crimes, but also general discrimination. It's great that we've got in England, we have the Equality Act 2010. which protects kind of gender reassignment as a special characteristic. But that hasn't stopped companies from saying we're not going to hire you because you're trans. That hasn't stopped police from accusing me of carrying fake ID because my driver's license says female after I was attacked by a group of men of carrying false ID and say I could be arrested for that. You know, the discrimination is rife within society, and that needs to be completely dismantled. So that's why I talk openly. Because I don't know of a way how life can improve for the younger generation, and the generations before me, the sisterhood of trans women, who fought fights, who try to fight for equality, no matter how hard it was, And I'm even talking about like prior to, the Stonewall riots and Marsha Johnson and Sylvia Rivera and these kind of icons. I just try and I hope. I hope that whenever is my time to pass away, to die, that I have made change to kind of society enough so that the younger generation has less negative experiences that I face. Because let's be honest, we all hope that we could change like that the world. We're limited within our own personal and individual capacity to do that. And sometimes I have to check myself. Sometimes I have to think, no, I can do this enough. My voice is enough. Even if I change it, even if I liked what you said earlier. When someone kind of approaches me with hate, so for example, there's a really popular, I will call them gender critical, but others call them TERFs. So there's a really popular one in the UK called Posey Parker, who mysteriously, after she arrived from America, where she boycotted a meeting, she arrived at London Heathrow, and then one of my campaigns, which was a huge wall, was defaced in a private area of the airport, only available for passengers arriving back from America. But we had a bit of a discussion actually on social media privately, and I offered to meet with her in a public place. As long as I said I would prefer it to be recorded, but if not, no worries. And I wanted to meet her and just speak to her, because I think even when I faced really tough situations, I think hopefully I've planted a little seed of kind of acceptance for it to eventually flourish with maturity and age and experience, so they can think back to the time that they met me and they meet someone similar to me who might be trans, won't feel so.
Yep. You don't have to change the world by yourself. You just have to change one person's mind, and then they'll change another person's mind, and they'll change another, and it will just keep going until it flourishes and spreads. At least that's the hope. Bendy, what did you want to add?
I got a little triggered there, and I apologize. I have quite a lot of trauma with allies and performative allyship, and dealing with that in not just a space of being Black, but being in a space of being queer and being someone who doesn't adhere to what society deems is what a woman is supposed to do. And I think that allies are important, but it's like bananas. If there's one rotten banana in the bunch, it's going to start, spoiling the rest. So it's like when you get these allies who feel like that they have done enough for their allyship. For instance, I had an ally tell me once that they were allowed to have authority over Black issues because they had already done the work. And that's not the space you should be in as an ally. It doesn't matter how much work you do. It doesn't matter how much you've worked to be anti-racist. You are still just an ally, and you need to follow suit under the authority of those you're being an ally to. So I have a trepidation when it comes to allies, because I don't trust an ally at face value, and that is because of my trauma. And am very careful, and I have walls, and I have almost like channels that they have to go through to prove to me that they are an ally. And I think a lot of work needs to be done by other allies, because we don't have the energy, we don't have the time. It's not our place to train you and to get you to do what you need to do. If it is, you need to pay me first. But there's a very serious issue within the allyship kind of ally community, and it's something that I really loved what you said, Pug, on that, but it kind of brought me back to that space of like, allies are really important, but there's so many allies that are doing all the wrong things, and it's making it even worse.
Yeah.
So it's needs to be addressed.
Allies need to understand, and I say this myself as a self-professed ally to lots of people. Your learning is never done, and sharing someone else's experience doesn't mean it's yours. It, like, I can say that, like, and I think pretty proudly, because I do try and put the work in as well, I am an ally to black people, but I'm never going to be black. I'm never going to have lived that experience and be able to say, this is exactly the issue. It's like, no, I don't know that. I could then go to some people and ask them and then try and give that information out, but you cannot claim someone else's lived experience as your own, because it ain't, and you don't know the nuance, and you don't know exactly the situation. Being an ally means being able to gather the information you can have and allow other people to get to the right people who are willing and who have the time and the energy to share that information. And you cannot just be performative. You cannot just go, Pride, yay, flags. Oh, it's the next month, brilliant. Fuck that. You can't do that. You can't. And if you are doing that, you need to look at why. If you're doing it to get social media likes, they mean nothing. They're pixels. Fuck off. They don't mean anything. Nobody is going to remember that you got an extra like on Twitter. People will remember what you did for them in person.
Yeah.
Right. And terms to kind of like throw out there that I'm sure will be a bigger discussion in the future is that a lot of issues with queer baiting and blackfishing, and a lot of allies not understanding that they're doing that all the time, and that they're pushing for their cups to be filled by the people they're being allies to, and they're not doing anything else to give back, so that's Nikki. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
I didn't know if you wanted to speak directly on that.
No, an incredibly valid point as well,
Yeah.
Bendy, and thank you for sharing that with us, even if it was difficult, because it's something people need to hear.
Thank you. Sorry, you used two terms that I've never actually heard before.
Okay.
And I also to teach, but also to learn. So would you mind repeating the terms and just giving a very brief kind of term?
Yeah, so specifically with queer baiting, it's a thing that specifically in film, in movies and such, it's when they like queer code a character but don't do the work to show us that character is queer, or kind of just like throw little bits in there to make us feel good about it, but not truly speaking on and giving a place for that. And it happens also with allies when, I can speak on a specific instance with blackfishing, but like with queer baiting online, like allies, like the pride and I love my gays, or I like Beyonce, but she did something that really upset me in that she was wearing all the pride colors and doing her whole thing. But it's like, Beyonce, you're getting the clout on that. You're not doing anything truly for the community. So it's like, cool, you like us, but what are you doing? So, and with blackfishing, it's simply like a lot of things that like one of the Jenners, Kylie Jenner, does a lot. Or if they specifically use black emojis or gifs that are pertaining to black culture or utilizing black terms, like a white woman on her Twitter saying "Still I Rise." No, that's Maya Angelou. That's not for you. She was speaking to black women. So you can't utilize that and try to gain like representation through that and push that onto other people. So it's a lot of like culture vulture type stuff,
It's trying to take a culture that's not your own and applying it to
Yeah.
you because you like it, and it's like it's not how it works. You can appreciate it and you can say it's fantastic, and there's people it does work for, but you can't say that it's for you.
Right.
but I mean the media as well. And sorry, Ryan, I will absolutely get to you in a moment. I've been meaning to be like, Ryan, what do you have to say? But I will just say the media has a ridiculous fucking problem with making, again, and I will say this because I'm a massive horror fan, and I'm going to feel so bad for forgetting her name, and I'm going to look it up in a minute. But when Ma came out, the lead actress,
Octavia Spencer.
thank you. I knew her name began with a no, and I was like, I don't want to say the wrong name, because that's even worse than not getting the right name. Octavia Spencer, the first thing she asked was, well, okay, I'm a black woman in this. Do I die in the first 10 minutes? They're like, no, you don't die. You do the killing. She was like, fuck yes! Yeah, I want that. And it was like, that is so...
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry. But, you know, actually, that was in her interview tweet about it, so it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, but...
It's a good movie.
That was a fantastic movie, and I loved how they showed that, and they did make her a real character. But you will often find in a lot of media, the black character is the first to die, or the gay character dies without ever truly getting to be gay because it's traumatic. Like they did it with Supernatural recently, where Castiel's like, I love you. Oh, he's gone. Like, cool. No, you don't get to be happy. You're gay. Fuck off. Like, no, that's not how this works. We don't just need to have trauma. We need to see people actually happy. Because all you're telling people is like, you're gay, you're going to be sad. Like, that's not how this works.
So some of us have a happy life.
Yes.
Some of us are happy.
You and your husband,
there's this
honestly.
thing called happiness. Yeah,
Sorry.
I do get it.
Yeah. As a quick bite on that, and I'm so sorry, Ryan, we'll push you, but like, there's a huge issue in Hollywood and with films about dark-skinned women being put in roles where they're seen as unlovable. And while it's really great to see Octavia Spencer in a role where she's not the mammy or the help or anything else like that, that should not still be a thing. But there is a dynamic to that character where she is dark-skinned, she's unlovable, where you see a lot of light-skinned characters, people who look like me, in a lot of roles that are portrayed as lovable and great and all these other things. And to speak on I take this from a friend of mine, Ashoke of Cheers and Queers, a podcast. She spoke on Bridgerton and how pointing out that the dark-skinned characters are seen as unlovable. They're cool, they're great, they're fun. Yay, we've got black characters, blackfishing. But the darker-skinned ones are either evil or unloved, and the light-skinned characters are, you know, the cat's meow. So that's something to think about too within that. And that, are they really allies in making these films?
Yeah.
So...
It's representing, and the positive representation doesn't just mean put this person in your movie. It's like actually think about who they are, and like give people an actual role, especially in media and that kind of thing. Like, let people be people, like write a role, and then don't just be like, actually, I'm going to write this specific thing, and I think this person should be like, no, like write realistically and authentically, and actually have consultants and inclusivity, and have people to come and speak on topics who actually know what they're talking about, because video games do this a lot, and that's a lot in my wheelhouse, where it's like, oh, we can I can imagine what this is like, and it's like, no, you cannot write this relationship in, you've never been in it, like that's that's why you get in a lot of things, you've just got the really cutesy girl, and you've got the lesbian, butch, and it's like, no, you've just written a man and a woman and made one of them a girl. That's all you have done. You've not actually represented anyone. You've just pasted boobs onto somebody. That's all you've done. Like, that's not how this works. But before anyone else says anything, I will say, Ryan, please, Ryan, come and talk to us.
I'm going to say a trigger warning about what I'm going to talk about, because I'm going to be diving into religion, because I'm a religious queer. We do exist. Hello. Hi. And I just wanted to, my advice would be, if you are religious and there is that part of you that doesn't want to leave that side of you behind, there is a place for you within this community, because it is possible to be queer, to be LGBTQI+, and religious. Like, they're the two biggest parts of who I am.
Cool.
I'd say it's very much, my religion is the most important thing, but my identity, gender-wise and sexuality, is the second most, because that's how I was made. So it's very much, I see it as, I'm a Christian, so it's, in my eyes, it's God made me this way. This is how I was supposed to be made. We were all made, going on a little preach here, I do apologise if you don't want to hear it, but there's a Bible verse in Psalms. It's Psalm 139 verse 14, and it's what is it? It's "You are fearfully and wonderfully made," and that's the most important verse to me in the Bible, apart from like Jesus coming back from the cross and stuff. But for me, it's just saying God made you the exact way you are meant to be. But that obviously does have its grey areas with having to transition, because if you were made the way you were meant to be, you wouldn't have to transition. Like, there are the grey areas with religion, and that is something that we don't have the answers to, which is the most frustrating bit. But also, advice-wise, I'd say don't let friends force you to come out, because I had that a lot in secondary school. There was a week, it was the last 2 weeks of year 9. Again, quick trigger warning, talk about knives. The week before we broke, so there were 2 weeks before we broke up. The penultimate week of term, a lad brought a knife into school, and I told off him, and then I was like, "Bitch has got a knife, help!" So I got a lot of slack for that, which, sorry, didn't want to get stabbed, you know.
Yeah, no.
Kids for you, like 13, 14-year-olds are mental. And then the week after that, I remember I was outside a music classroom, and someone came up to me and was like, "Yo, your best mate was saying about how being gay is wrong and stuff." Turns out it was the complete opposite. And that whole week was people coming up to me going, "Are you bi? Are you bi? Are you bi?" And just having this fixation on my life and who I am. And the whole week I was like, no, I was denying it the whole time. And I will never forget this conversation I had. It was with my best friend at the time. It wasn't a very healthy relationship at all, friend-wise. She was also my first crush. You know, the whole falling for your best friend. Gotta love that age-old story. But I'll never forget her looking at me saying, "Why don't you just say it?" Because my friends knew. I just wasn't ready to admit it to everyone else, because at that time, again with religion, I had a lot of stuff to work through. I'm still working through it. There have been points where, again, trigger warning, it has been, why have I been made this way? There's people in my church that probably will never talk to me again if I come out and tell them I don't want to be here. And there have been occasions where I've hurt myself in the past because of this. And it's been a very difficult journey, but it's so important to realise that if someone's pressuring you to come out as gay, get rid of them. As painful and as hard as it is, it's your decision to come out. And she wasn't the only one who did it. It was my whole year group who did it. And I eventually was like, you know what, enough's enough. So I came out in one of the first the first few weeks of year 10. So I was, I want to say 13. I was 13 when I came out, which kind of young when you think about it. And I did this whole thing on my Snapchat. And another thing I'll never forget is this person coming up to me and going, "So you've turned bi now?" And I was like, "Yeah, because I woke up this morning and chose bisexual." Like, you know, like that flip in my brain went, you know what, today is going to be bisexual Monday, tomorrow's going to be pansexual Wednesday or whatever, and it's going to be straight Sunday because I've got to go to church. And that was a joke I had with some mates. I've now got cisgender Sunday, which makes me giggle. But you don't have to come out unless you're ready, and that is the most important thing. Not everyone has to know. Like, I've only recently been very incredibly open about my sexuality. Like, I don't care anymore. Who knows? Like, it's who I am. If you don't like it, you can take your shit and you can fuck off. Like, you can get the hell out of my life, because I've got enough to deal with demons wise and trauma wise, and I don't need your negativity in my life, because I was made this way and it's who I am. And if you don't like it, just fuck off, basically. But yeah, if someone is pressuring you to come out, you don't have to. You do not have to come out for anyone but yourself. And that is the single-handedly most important piece of advice I could possibly give. Only come out when you're ready. And if it's getting to a point where you feel like you might be ready, take a bit of time, see how you're feeling. Take as long as you need. You don't need to come out as soon as you work out or think, that's a label, that fits me, how I'm feeling right now. It's a journey, and there's always this misconception that you come out once. No, you come out every single day of your damn life. Like, I go to college like Monday to Friday basically, and every time I go to the canteen, the canteen where we buy our food, I get misgendered, and my friend gets more annoyed than me because I'm just like, looking at me, I pass as a female. Like, you wouldn't know I use they them pronouns unless I told you, or like had some thing on my person saying I use they them pronouns, please use them. But it's just, I completely forgot my train of thought. Oh my god. But yeah, take your time, and only you know when you're ready. And that's something I wish I could have told myself. Also, your first relationship's going to be an awkward one, so just take your time.
Oof. Yeah. Ow.
Just the first one?
I mean, I've only been in
It
one,
never
so,
ends.
Great, got that to look forward to. Can't wait.
Right. I would love us to be able to continue going on all night, but I'm afraid we have run out of time for this session. There will be more, and I know we could literally talk all night, but I've been going for 12 hours so far. So I'm afraid we do need to end here on £1,800 for charity, and so many incredible stories told. And thank you again all for being here. As I've said, time is the most valuable gift you can give, and so to give it here means the world to me, and I can tell from the people in the chat as well, means the world to them. And I hope that by doing this, 30 of us coming together, if even one person has looked inside themselves and found something, or has decided they might be ready to, then I think that's worth it, because that can only spread outwards. And yeah, does anyone have anything that they would like to add? And we'll go along so everyone gets a chance to speak. But before we finish up, has anyone got any final words? Bendy?
Thank you, everyone. And my DMs on Twitter are always open. I said in the chat, I've always got a few hit points left in my health bar, always. So even if you just need bird memes, like late at night, send me a message. People have always been there for me, and I want to be there for everyone else.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. What about you, Natalie?
Just thank you for letting me be here, giving me this chance, letting me speak, and I hope to do more things like this in the future, and using my voice just to give people advice if they need it, or just experience with them that might resonate with them.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Nikki?
I hope I've provided some insight, I guess, into those who share experiences to me who are trans. It's especially important to support our youth, as youth who face so much adversity, don't have the support necessary. So Evans, there are charities such as Mermaids UK and people like you who put on like charitable events for a good cause. So thank you.
Glad to do anything I can. And again, thank you. You really have brought a lot of information and a lot of experience, and I think it has been incredibly helpful. And yeah, it's very much appreciated.
We're always open on social media if anybody has any questions about kind of transgender health and my experience in working in that, and wait times especially, and the recent courses. So yeah, my also always open.
Brill, thank you very much. Pugs, what about you, lovely?
Yeah, very much echo what the guys have said. I think it's a very important thing that you're doing here. I apologize for joining late. Discord hates me. The internet hates me.
Don't you worry.
But who cares? To the point that the guys have made. Unapologetically be yourself, whether the internet hates you or not. Fuck them. I apologize for my profanities, but I think, again, I echo what the guys have said. The DMs are open. Pugstop, I'm everywhere. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, Twitch. But I think it's really important to say that what we're talking about just tonight and these kind of chats and generally everywhere on the internet, it's very important what we're saying and talking about our experiences and making everyone aware of what's going on, and echoing to the point that the allies are not just an ally because you've got a gay friend. It's about actually, if you're an ally, it's your whole life is an ally. It's not just when it's convenient. It's not just when you're on a night out with your gays. It's actually if you're an ally, be true. And that's what I want. My message is that exactly that. I won't talk about too much more, but as a gay white man, I don't have it that bad in the grand scheme of things. Let's be real. So my message I spread is I can reach more allies than anybody else. And my point is, I want to tell allies this is what it means to be an ally, not just having gay friends. That doesn't make you an ally. It's spreading your message through your whole life to be that. So anyone that's listening, if you're an ally, be a true ally. Stand by your word. Spread that message no matter what you're doing. And you know what Ryan was saying earlier. There's all different kind of scales of what an LGBTQIA plus person is. It's black, white, whatever. It's religious, it's non-religious, it's bi, pan, everything. It's a massive scale of things. Don't just be an ally for gay men or for lesbians or for trans. Be an ally for humans, and that's it. And I'll leave a message with that. Again, I apologize for being late. However, we tried. We got here in the end. We did it in the end. But please, 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 that's what an ally truly means. And we need allies more than ever because the world now is more divided than it's ever been. So now we truly need allies, and we truly need to work together and as a community stop attacking each other, because that's happening. I've seen that a lot more than I have ever seen. As a community, we're attacking each other, and if we're attacking each other, how can we rely on other people not to attack us? So to stand by everything under the rainbow of people. So I'll leave it at that. But
Beautiful.
yeah.
Thank you very much, Bugs.
And just one last thing. Thank you so much for holding this conversation because it's so important. And I hope that there's more of these to come. Let's make it a monthly thing because I think it's really important. So thank you very much.
That's right. I have the next 6 to 8 months planned out. Charity events. We have podcasts every 2 weeks, including one next week discussing periods and life as a person who menstruates and all the gross gooey shit that goes along with that, because that'll be a good one to get. Don't get your nails into it, please don't. But to talk about. And the one after that is going to be a discussion on AAPI hate, which is Asian and Pacific Islanders hate. It is going to be a charity stream, and it is with an Asian American man called Daydreamer Dan, who is a fantastic streamer and a fucking lovely human, and he's gonna come and talk nitty gritty with us while we try and raise some money for that as well. So there's plenty coming, and the next Throw Our Eyes stream, the next big one, is in 2 months because they take me a fairly long time to find 30 people and put them all together and do all the work while also being, crippled and chronically ill. The next one is a BIPOC special as well, which is also going to be a charity event, which I will be looking to have a BIPOC co-host, because obviously as a white person, I cannot say I know what it is like to be a BIPOC person. I can still host because this is my channel and this is a thing I've started and I know how to run the thing, but I can't have the lived experience. So there will be somebody working with me from the very beginning to make sure it's done right, and that, as you said, being an ally is not taking someone else's experience, it is letting them have that platform.
I don't want to delay anything any longer, but I just want to say one thing, and it goes, and it's what you've just said. You've instantly played down what you're doing as an ally and say, oh, I'm not this, I'm not that. Well, actually, no, that's fine. But what you are is a true ally, and you're giving the, I don't want to say the correct people because that sounds condescending. What I mean is you're giving those people a platform to speak about their truth. So I just want to jump in and say, please don't downplay what you're doing. And by saying, you know, I can't do this, I shouldn't be doing this. No, what you're doing is you're allowing people to come into your world and your platform that you've created to have these conversations. So I just want to just throw it out there as I'm not trans, I'm not black, but you're allowing these people to come into your world and to come into your audience and have their say and create that platform. So it goes back to what I was just saying about allies. Please don't downplay what you're doing, because the more people we have that do this, the less we need to do it, right? But right now we need to do it, and you're creating a solution. I'm a solutions person. I don't like problems. We're about solutions, and the solution to this is the need not to do it.
Exactly.
Right now we need to, and you're creating that platform. So please don't downplay what you're doing. And it's a long day for you, and it's a lot, and it's trigger warnings. But I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah.
I apologize for delaying it more. But.
No, I very much appreciate that. And Bendy, I'll let you speak in just a second. The only bit I'm downplaying, no, don't worry. The only bit I am downplaying is the fact I am not black. I am not indigenous. I'm not a person of color. I cannot.
I never would have guessed. I never would have guessed that.
Honestly, no, no. But as Bendy has said, it is very important to be an ally and not speak over the people whose voice needs to be heard. So while I'm happy to co-host because it's my platform and obviously a project I'm working on, I am not going to stand there and say, I can talk for black people, because I can't. Like, I cannot, and I would not, because that's just bullshit. I don't have that experience. I will have somebody with me from the very beginning who I've been working with, who I know can speak for people and have that lived experience, because it is very important as an ally to also know when to shut the fuck up and when to let somebody else actually say their piece and to allow them to have your platform. You have to set the stage, and then you have to let somebody else actually perform. You can't be the performer and the stagehand and everything. You have to let people talk about their own truth. So I very much agree with you, but the only bit I'm downplaying is the fact I cannot have everyone's lived experiences. And I need to make sure that to hold myself accountable and to say that I'm a good ally because I put my money where my mouth is, I need to make sure I'm actually making room for the people and not speaking over them instead, because there is no room for that. Then it's performative. It's, look at my channel, look how well I've done. No, fuck off. Go away. So, yes, that's the only bit I want to downplay. Bendy, what did you want to say before we get to Ryan and Lost again?
I got very excited what Pugs was saying. Very excited. I was like, yes, but you just articulated the strength, like that needs to be driven home. It's that, like, BIPOCs, they're not Pokemon. You don't get to catch them all and put them on your channel and live off the clout of the things that they give you because they're great. No, you don't do that. And there are channels who do that, and they look at it as a way of, I get to look better because I did this for them, and that's white savior bullshit. And I have a very strong opinion on this, so that's why I wanted to just reiterate, you are doing the work and you are doing a good job about it, and it's very much appreciated, and I myself am thankful for what you're doing. So yes,
thank you. I can't say for one person, once a person says it's okay, it's perfect, but it is it is reassuring to hear that, because it can be murky waters to go into and try and say and do the right things, and not wanting to fuck up and hurt anybody, but also not wanting to then do nothing, because that doesn't help anyone anyway. So yeah, I very much do appreciate it. Ryan, what did you have any final thoughts you wanted to add?
Yeah, you can follow me on the Insta of the gram at Rye. So cringy. Yeah, hate myself. Rise.truth on Instagram and Rise Truth on YouTube. I've got a original song on there if you want to check it out.
Cool.
Trigger warning for the song, BT Dubs. There's a trigger warning in the description of the song, but you can check that out. Love yourself, because you're worth it, and yeah, you're valid as fuck. There we go. That's a nice note to end on.
I like that one as well. And Lost, my darling, is there anything that you'd like to add as well?
I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to come on, and I'm really happy I got to meet you guys as well. You're all amazing people, and thank you.
We're all incredibly happy to have met you as well, and thank you for coming and sharing with us, because I know it's not easy, and it's tiring, and it can be really scary sometimes to put yourself out there as a face and say, hey, I'm here, because it's almost like painting a target on your own face sometimes. But to come and share, even if it makes you uncomfortable, is incredibly powerful, and I'm incredibly thankful. And I know that a lot of people in the chat have been saying as well, like, I've learned something. It's like, yay! That's all we needed. That's all we needed. Just one person to learn something. But I'm afraid on that note, that is us actually done for now. But we will be raiding out to another charity event that's going on actually for trans people. We'll be going over to It's Cassie Joy in just a minute for a massive Among Us clusterfuck of chaos, all in support of a trans charity, the name of which I've forgotten and I will need to look up in just a minute, but we'll see it when we go over there. But thank you all for being here. And it's been incredible to meet all of you, and I'm certain we'll all stay in touch anyway through one form or another. But for now, we must say goodbye to these beautiful peoples. Thank you all for being here. Bye, chat!